Morning, Larry.
Morning. How's everybody?
How you doing?
It's a little chilly. I think overcoats, maybe a scarf
I'll get you to stand
coming up.
Could you offer any details on the president's proposed tax cut?
We're working on it. A couple things on this. The tax cut from 2017-18 was a terrific thing for middle-class families. I mean, that's an important point. Burdens went down $2,000. Wages will be going up about $4,000 for typical families. So I want to make that point as part of the economic boom, which everybody thought was impossible, and we're growing at 3 to 4%. Now, regarding the president's new proposal, 10% reduction for middle-class families, that's doable. We're just working through it, and we're going to be, consulting with the leaders in Congress and so forth.
But
you say that this
Congress by several days before the midterms with no specific details. Isn't that in some ways a tacit admission that the previous tax cut didn't do a lot for the people that you guys need to show up for the midterms?
Blue-collar people are booming. My favorite story is from the well-known supply-side media organ, the Washington Post. Front page, above the fold, blue-collar workers are the biggest gainers. Their employment has increased faster than anything since 1984, and their wages have gone up faster than white-collar. I'm not saying they're higher, but their wages have gone up faster. Story in the Journal yesterday, the day before, participation rate for women is now rising for the first time in several years, and their unemployment rate is, I believe, 3.3% or some such. It's the lowest in 65 years. So no, it worked. Of course it worked. Look at the boom that we're experiencing. Now, do we want to go further? More tax reform? Let's wait and see. We're working on it.
How come this caught everybody by surprise, though?
Here we are.
Hang on 1 second.
Here we are 14 days before the midterms. You've described this as planning stages.
Yeah.
His proposal. Let's wait and see. I guess my question is, why should we take this seriously, considering we're so close to an election? It seems like these things just kind of get thrown out as we get closer to elections.
All I'll say is, the last couple of years, President Trump, promises made, promises kept. And take him seriously when he comes out with these things. That has been his pattern for a long time. People should not underestimate that. We're working through the ways and as you have to do in these things, okay? And it may not surface for a while, but that's his goal. That's his policy intent. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, sir.
Okay, and let me switch because that question was asked about China.
Yes, sir.
We sailed some U.S. Navy warships through the Taiwan Strait yesterday. That seems like it's going to hurt any chances of getting a trade pact or trade negotiations started with China. What have you heard about that?
Well, look, I don't want to make any comments about the forces going through the ocean, but look, we've had so much trouble with China regarding their response, which they never make, technology transfers, IP theft. We just had a new one. This is unbelievable. Cybersecurity in China. They just passed a law about 3 weeks ago. It didn't get the attention it deserves because of the Judge Kavanaugh hearings. They are now permitted, Chinese police are permitted to go in and hack American companies if they think something's wrong. Whereabouts they would steal our technology. That's really kind of unbelievable. So you add that to the trade imbalance and the tariffs and the non-tariff barriers. They won't let us own our businesses, and they won't give licenses. They've got a lot. Our asks are on the table. I'd love to see them respond. Thus far, they haven't. The two presidents will meet for a bit in Buenos Aires, Argentina at the G20. Other than that, nothing I can say.
Larry, you just said that your biggest fear is that there could be a change in the House that
Yes.
would overturn the president's tax cuts
Yes.
and regulatory reforms. Is the president's proposal of some sort of additional tax cut an indication that he's also really concerned that Republicans might lose the House?
Well, I don't know about that. I would just say, if you look at the leading members of the other party in the campaign, and when they talk about policy, which is very rare, they will tell you they want to overturn the tax cut signed earlier this year or late last year. That would be the personal tax cut. That would be the family child tax credit. That would be the business tax cut. All these things have spurred confidence and given us a growth rate of the economy of 3 to 4%, which everybody said was impossible. I think it's the biggest story of 2018, to be honest with you. Blue-collar people are working, they're increasing their wages. Women are working, they're increasing their wages. Everybody is improved from where they were several years ago. So I don't want, people say, what keeps you up at night? Anything that would reverse these policies, which have moved us from a slump to a boom and have massive employment increases across the board. Confidence. The prior administration was waging war against business, fossil fuels. I mean, energy is a big part of what the Trump administration is pushing, and it's going to be much more of that. So, without getting into more, I'm just saying what worries me is the possibility that the House will change and they will try to overturn our policies, which have generated the best economic growth, the best business investment, the best wages in decades. That's my biggest worry.
Sure. And on those regulatory reforms that the president is obviously frequently touting, are you at all concerned that, like President Obama did by changing things by executive order instead of through Congress, that some of those changes, when one day a new president comes into office, will just be undone?
Well, look, it's possible. I get that. But I think President Trump has shown what you can do. He's a very decisive chief executive, and these measures have instilled confidence and created a lot of economic growth. Just on this point, the regulatory rollback, so important, started in 2017. Red tape, massive burdens on small businesses, which is, I think, the face of the Trump economy, the new Trump economy. Men and women owning their own small business have a lot of trouble with that when the federal government ties them up. So we've eliminated most of that. And they can keep more of what they earn because we've lowered their marginal tax rate. I mean, I think those are the two pillars. You got blue-collar workers, you got your men and women owning their own small business, you got your energy revolution, which is just huge, what's going to happen in the years ahead on pipeline infrastructure and so forth. I don't want to turn that back, because these are jobs, and they're good jobs. These are, blue-collar, hard-hat type jobs. And people are reskilling to make sure they can qualify for these jobs, right? We've still, the quit rate is high. People are moving around. Wages are rising, so people are coming out of the woodworks to come back to work. I love this.
Larry,
I don't want to overturn it. That's all. That's my view.
Larry, you just said in the interview over there, as it relates to President Trump and President Xi.
Okay.
President Trump and President Xi meeting likely later next month, that as it relates to trade, they probably wouldn't get into a level of detail. That would seem to suggest that both sides are ways away from any sort of deal here. Is that accurate?
I just think if it were possible that the two presidents agreed on some, basic principles and trading rules, they don't need to go to 150. That's for the staff and so forth. IP theft, forced transfer of technology, cyber hacking, high tariffs on agriculture and industrial commodities. They won't give license. I mean, just a few, 5 or 6 points on trade would be most welcome. Now, I'm not making a forecast. I'm just saying that could be done. It could be done. Other questions?
Larry, would you anticipate any talks between senior officials before that summit, just to sort of set up an agenda?
Yeah, I would. Sure. All the Sherpas are talking to each other.
Larry, if we get another sell-off this morning, is that also a healthy correction, or at what point does it become unhealthy?
Well, when I checked this morning, we were down 5% or so from the peak. It's not much. It's not much. So, I don't know, Eamon.
Do you think the president's trade policies play into some of the market weakness that we've seen?
You know what I think? I think the stock market is worried that Congress will change and will overturn these pro-growth policies. I really believe that. I think that the so-called correction and I've said before, as you know, these things come and go. That correction has to overcome the uncertainty about this election. And I think businesses, large, medium, and small, do not want the tax cuts overturned or the regulatory relief overturned or the new energy revolution overturned. They do not want that. So I think that's the biggest worry, Eamon, for we got what couple weeks to go.
If the House changes hands, it's not like the tax cuts can be repealed, right? I mean, President Trump
That's
would never
correct.
sign a tax cut repeal
That's
bill.
that's
right?
correct. That's
so
correct.
the tax cuts are safe for 2 years.
But there's uncertainty about, I'm not a political genius. I'm just saying uncertainty about the whole story. But I think that is the biggest worry. That's my biggest worry, to be honest with you. So I think stocks may be gyrating, perhaps. There's a million reasons, you know that. I worked in that business for a long time. Nobody knows. More? We done? You're very kind to me. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.